one of the all-time greats. I don't think there's an argument that he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think the argument is Rob Gronkowski the best tight end of all time? And it depends on how you quantify that. Obviously, his numbers, because of longevity, aren't going to be the same as Tony Gonzalez, who played 17 seasons and made 14 Pro Bowls. But when you look at what Gronk did on the field, I don't think there was anybody at that position during the time frame that he was in the NFL that you could argue was even close. He dominated the tight end position. Jason Witten, outstanding, going to be a Hall of Famer. Greg Olsen, outstanding. But Gronk was on a whole nother level. Since 2010, he led all receivers in touchdowns.
Every single one.
By the way, Gronk has missed 13 regular season games in the last 3 seasons alone. You could make the argument that if Tom Brady's the GOAT, that Rob Gronkowski has been better at his position than Tom Brady has been at his over the last 9 years. I'm not going to put him in that number 1 spot over Tony Gonzalez just because Tony Gonzalez had a body of work over 17 years that was spectacular. But I don't think there is any argument that Gronk is a more complete tight end maybe than anybody else that's ever played the game.
Yeah, they had to change the rules because of him. And then he's a guy who's held on every single play. The 3 Super Bowl championships, obviously. Someone in my position as a Boston fan will always point to the rings because it's kind of a argument stopper, right? Who's the greatest quarterback of all time? Tom Brady has 6 rings.
Right.
Bill Belichick has 8 rings. Gronk has 3 rings, and I think that matters. His biggest moments always came in the big games. Look at just the AFC Championship game this year. Huge catch on 3rd down to set up a game-winning touchdown. Obviously, the play in the Super Bowl. He did it. He was at his best when the game mattered most. And that's the mark of a true champion.
I think the counter to that argument for the people who would say, how could you call him the greatest tight end of all time? He was injured for their Super Bowl run a couple of years ago, and they still won the Super Bowl. Well, I think that's a product of how great the Patriots are, not how Gronk is not great.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.